What's up, manga fans? This is Raphael from C Manga, and I'm here to give you a review of this week's chapter of Bleach 578, The Undead 5. So yeah, super fast chapter again this week. Even for Bleach standards, it was really quick. But unlike last week's chapter, the panels seemed like they were utilized better, and there wasn't any wasted panels or double page spreads like last time, where majority of the first half of the chapter was just people having reactions. There was no more of that and people in awe and all that. So as I said, it was enjoyable in that regard. It just felt a bit short, and I'm a bit unsure about the way this chapter ended. It did seem a bit of arse pull, but I like the idea Kubo was trying to convey and the concept, because this is something that was kind of foreshadowed since the beginning of the Kenpachi versus Gremmy fight. But I'll get into that later. So as I said, fast chapter, Gremmy was pretty much freaking out majority of it, and we can see him starting to spiral into despair, lose his you might as well say focus, and he's starting to, as I said, just his mentality and mental ability starting to become weaker because of Kenpachi just showing himself as a monster. And straight from the start of the chapter, we see Gremmy freak out, calling Kenpachi, screaming out Kenpachi is a monster after he destroyed that meteorite with such ease. And you could tell this is obviously starting to pile on him, because Kenpachi's basically dealt with any attack that Gremmy's thrown at him, and it's been unaffected. He hasn't killed him, and Gremmy's been known to kill anyone and quite easily. And this person now who's in front of him has managed to survive all of that. So he gets desperate, uses these clones, opens up a rip in space, and tries to kill Kenpachi that way. And I like that part of the chapter because it was interesting to read into detail what space can do. I'm not sure if it's scientifically accurate. I'm not that obviously knowledgeable about what space can do, but it seemed quite legit. I mean, what was it? Fluids evaporating from eyeballs and mouth. That was nasty to hear. But your blood boiling, lungs being crushed if you try to breathe, and tissue being degraded bit by bit while you died. That was really gruesome and interesting to read. I like seeing that. But obviously Kenpachi's unaffected by it, and he cuts one of the Gremmys, which you assume is the real one, but is just a clone with a bomb in his chest. And then it's like all the other Gremmys clamber onto him, and the bomb explodes. So you see a dust cloud. Obviously Kenpachi is fine, not what to expect. He comes out, but he's a bit charred, and his clothes have been burnt quite off. And this is when Gremmy's really starting to lose it. It's like saying, like, Kenpachi really is a monster, what the hell. It's like, fine, well, I'm just gonna have to beat him. I really want to win. And this is the first time you actually hear him saying, I want to win, not just I just want to beat this person. And he's saying, I really want to beat someone as strong as me. I want to win. I'm going to prove it by crushing this guy and prove my power is the best. And this is when his muscles start to fill out. He's imagining himself becoming stronger, all fibers, everything's filling out. But in the end, it works against him, and the muscle fibers, tissues and bones just burst through his skin quite disgustingly. And yeah, it was just basically a complete backfire of these powers. And Kenpachi pretty much described this for us, like, he was so stupid to imagine Kenpachi as this unimaginable monster, it ended up getting himself killed. And that was pretty much it. It just ended like that. So yeah, the way I can see is what happened was that Gremmy saw Kenpachi as this unimaginable monster in his head. He subconsciously wanted to beat him. So what was he thinking of? He obviously wanted to imagine himself as this unimaginable monster that's better than Kenpachi, and in turn all he did was just shred his body to bits and destroy himself. And yeah, it makes sense, because Gremmy's powers, if you notice, he has to focus and think of something that's solid, something that he knows exists. If he's imagining something that's unimaginable, it's just going to backfire and leave himself a complete mess, as you saw. So I like that idea. It's just basically like, these powers are volatile. You have to have complete control and complete sense when you're using them, and Gremmy had none of that at the end, and it ended up backfiring and killing him. What I said about the way it ended, I said I was a bit conflicted. It seemed a bit of an arse pull and abrupt, but if you think about it, it's like, this is something that's kind of been foreshadowed since the beginning of the fight between Kenpachi and Gremmy. It's something I did say before, that it's going to be monster versus monster, who's the biggest monster. I thought it would just be, straight down, like Kenpachi would kill him as the biggest monster after not being affected by all the attack. But in turn, it was like Kenpachi's like presence and his mentality of being a monster ended up killing Gremmy, because he was the bigger monster. Grammy couldn't handle that, and obviously the bigger monster beat the other monster, which I said in a way it was good. I love the idea and concept, but it's just, I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about how it just ended like that. I was expecting Grammy to use a Volston dig, obviously, and then Kenpachi could beat him that way. But if it's ended, it's ended. I'm not too bothered because the fight was starting to drag on a bit, and I'll be looking forward to see what else Kubo's going to give us for in other fights. But if it does carry on, Volston Dig versus Great Kenpachi, then done. But if not, that's it. I'm not going to complain. So yeah, as I said, it wasn't a great chapter, but it wasn't a bad chapter either. And I like the ideas Kubo's trying to convey to us in this, with the whole monster versus monster, and Grammy's powers backfired against him. So yeah, that's all I can say. The chapter wasn't great, but it was something. It was quite interesting. So yeah, you guys know the usual. If you got any thoughts about this chapter and the next chapter, predictions, opinions, anything, you leave them in the comment box below. And also, if you're new to the channel and you haven't subscribed yet, hit the subscribe button, as you'll find several other series similar to this that we do on the channel. And I'll speak to you guys next week.